have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Yeah, goodness has got nothing to do with it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lifeboat. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass, as always, is my partner, Captain Mark Wages, and we're having fun. So the Christmas is a-coming, and the goose is getting fat and all of that stuff. So another big shout out to the people at Marfugal, because I just don't think we can do that enough. There's been got a lot of emails in the last couple of days from people that have come over to check out the boat, who found us through the efforts of Adam and Dex. And you know what? It's just really good stuff. They care, and you can't really put a price tag on that. You know what I mean? Especially with a channel as big as they are to care as much as they do. I think it's fairly impressive. So before we get rolling into tonight's subject, which I think is important at this time of year. Hey, Stacy Michaels, good to see you. Who else? I saw somebody else I wanted to say hello to. Well, Cemetery, good to see you, Cemetery. Glad that you're here. And there was one other person. Oh, Swerving Canine, glad that you're here. So I'm glad all of you are here, but I like to pick a few. The last night I didn't really get the chance to finish up the very end of what I wanted to talk about, and the sort of the driving force behind the concept of living as if. People, the takeaway right from last night needs to be that if you feel like you're not really connected and you're not really making it yet, just be patient and keep practicing. Practice makes perfect. You want to be the person that you can be, that you were born to be, then practice being that person. And if it doesn't feel right in the beginning, right? It's not going to feel right in the beginning because you're doing something you've never done before, but it's so worth the payout. It is absolutely worth the payout, and it's no different than anything else. It's just a matter of practice. It really is. And I know that may sound silly, but take this from a guy who didn't make his bed for 45 years. And since then, it has become a habit. And it's just something that I do, and I'm comfortable doing it. It's a big part of my life. You can train yourself to do anything, including be nice, including connection, all of those things. And the lifeboat's a great sort of training ground for all of this, because if you just watch how almost everybody here treats one another, it really gives you a pretty good idea of what's capable once you start going down that road. And we're proud of everybody involved here. It really is a beautiful thing. So tonight's subject matter, boy, you know what? You could go down this rabbit hole for 3 weeks, couldn't you? Tonight we're going to talk about drama. And the reason that we're going to talk about drama should be really obvious to everybody involved, right? I mean, it's the holiday season, and with the holiday season comes a tremendous amount of drama, and it takes so many different forms, so many different shapes. If you go back in time, hey, Buddha, good to see you. If you go back in time, drama had a completely different word. This is one of those words that in our language around the world has taken on a completely different meaning because of modern culture. If you went back just 30 years or 40 years ago and you said, you know what, I'm dealing with drama, people would look at you and go, huh? Because drama was something that really, whenever it was brought up, it had something to do with the theater. Hold 1 second. My bobblehead. Yep, my bobbleheaded partner was going to beat me to it, and I knew it. I had to jump on him because he's fast. Carolyn Greenhill asking for prayers for my young daughter, Taylor's health and healing, please. Everybody hear that? Some single digits there in the live chat, so that everybody knows that that we're here to do just that. Right? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Lady Fiona Crispin, good to see you. So, drama back in the day really was almost exclusively, the stuff of thespian discussion, right? This was all about the theater. Drama was the portrayal of something that wasn't real by players and actors on stage, right? That's what it meant if somebody brought up the phrase or the term drama. They were the what did Shakespeare say? The players that strut there and fret their hours upon the stage and then are heard from no more. Tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Then over time, this shifted, and it now, I think, probably started with the term drama queen, right? People started to use drama queen to be somebody that blew things out of proportion, right? That allowed their emotions to take over any situation. And usually it's larger than life. And it's one of those things that's never described in a positive way. You ever heard someone go, she's great, she's a drama queen, right? Or that guy's awesome. I mean, everywhere he goes, he brings drama with him, right? These are insults. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is drama causes problems. Every single place it rears its head. So the reason that, what does this have to do with getting sober? Well, aside from the fact that drama can really drive you in the wrong direction, right? If you think about what it is that we're doing in our walk with sobriety, we're either going in the right direction, and the right direction is them closing the pine box without you ever using again, right? And the opposite direction is relapse. You're going to end up using again. You're going to be heading in one direction or another. This is why journaling is a big deal, right? Because it shows you where you are in that journey. If you write down 3 or 4 days in a row that everything is driving you nuts and that you're going so-and-so at work is, I just want to kill that person. And, if what you're writing down reads like drama, you're probably going in the wrong direction. So why do we do it? Because as addicts, we know that this is not going to take us in the right direction. So why is it? Because I'll tell you right now, and there's nobody that's going to argue this point if you've been around for any length of time. In fact, you don't even have to have been around for any long length of time. But drama tends to rear its head around addicts all the time, right? Why is that? Well, believe it or not, people, in my humble opinion, and that's not really humble, but in my opinion, there's a very logical reason why addicts surround themselves with drama on such a regular basis. And here's what it is. We're not used to being comfortable. We're not used to living comfortably in our own skin. And we create a life of drama when you're an addict. Think about it. All right. So you blow rent on cocaine before rent comes. Now you've got to go out and lie to people and hustle and do all of these different things, maybe break the law, whatever it is you're doing in order to take care of the bills and to keep that ship afloat, so to speak. To keep the lifestyle of a drug addict going, you're constantly hustling and constantly living in a world that is full of stress, anxiety, and drama, right? So all of a sudden that ends. And we've talked about this before. It's very similar to the fear of success, right? All of a sudden there's no drama in your life, but your brain's going, this doesn't make any sense, right? This doesn't make any sense. Why would somebody ever be afraid of being successful? It doesn't make any gambling Gambling, not me. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's another really strong one, right? Gambling is another very serious addiction that creates all kinds of drama in people's lives. And by the way, people, whether your addiction is eating, whether your addiction is gambling or sex or anything else, if the reward center in your brain is rewarding you for doing something that you're not supposed to do, right? That is not good for you, you're an addict. It doesn't really matter what that's from, right? The phenomenon is identical no matter what. So we're all in the same boat, right? As far as that goes, we're all in the same boat. So why would anybody be afraid of success? Well, bottom line is your brain wants the lowest common denominator. Your brain wants your brain wants what it knows, right? Doesn't want anything new. So if you're all of a sudden successful for the first time ever, that's such a feeling of, good Lord, look at this. Like, what's going on around me, right? It's such a bizarre feeling that very often as addicts we'll short circuit that so that we can get back to what we know, which is not being successful. Or another way to put it, you can get back to what you know, which is drama. So very often among addicts, especially people who are recently sober, you get a lot of this. Do you know what so and so said? So I swear to you, he came over and he was talking about this person, and you're going, whoa, whoa, hey, I don't even want to know all of this stuff, right? Um, it's not me, right? And Mark has run a YouTube channel for a lot longer than I have, right? Wages World. If you've never been over there, you should go check it out. But he does space weather on Wages World. If you run a YouTube channel, there is a lot of drama that comes with it, because isn't there? It, it's incredible. And if you think about it, you would think, that why would that even be, right? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Actually, it really does. Because let's take the lifeboat, right? As an example, there are 3,400 and I don't remember, 30 something different personalities on this boat, right? Now, granted, we all have one thing in common, which is a malfunctioning reward center inside the brain, right? Our brain pumps dopamine out at the wrong damn time. But other than that, we're all so different. We've got, believe it or not, people on this boat, we've got multimillionaires, right? And we've got people that are just getting out of halfway houses or who are homeless, and everything in between. And every different kind of lifestyle you can imagine. We've got people from 30 some odd countries. So there are so many different personalities all coming together that, especially when you're live, right? We go live 5 days a week minimum for an hour a day. You know what that does mean, right? It means that there's a really good chance we're going to say something that's going to step on somebody's emotions, especially emotions that are fresh off of being addicted. And, one of two things can happen. They can put that away and they can go like this. I'm not going to talk about this, but I cannot believe Tommy and Mark said that. These people have absolutely, or you're going to reach out to us and you're going to say, hey, you know what? When you said this the other day, I think you might have been off the mark. And there are people who did. I talked last night about a gentleman that had reached out to me, and that gentleman in the previous email had said just that. You said something on the boat that I kind of think was maybe a little out of line. And of course, I took it like a pro because that's who I am. I didn't take it as a pro at all. I arched my back and I created drama within the boat. I mean, fortunately, this guy is a stand-up cat that we kept it just between two people, and we're friends. There's no residual anything, but very often we feel the need to bring in as many people as we possibly can into the situation, right? So Mark said this, and it really kind of offended me. So as opposed to going to Mark, I'm going to reach out to 6 people and ask them what they think. And then those 6 people will tell 6 people who will tell 6 people. And the next thing you know, we go live and we've got, 45 people in the live chat, and 16 of them have just been talking about what jerks we are, or what jerk somebody on the boat is. May have nothing to do with us. Somebody said something that really angered the entire crew. It's been known to happen. And now you've got, drama. And the fact is, for a lot of people who are just getting sober, the brain likes it. We could say on the outside, oh, I hate when that drama stuff, but your brain's going, yeah, this feels normal, right? This feels normal. Everybody's angry at one another. There's discomfort. We're not trusting things. This is addict behavior. I like it. I like it. And then the brain knows that if you keep this up, there are buttons it can start pushing, right? It can start making you angrier and angrier. It can start doing all kinds of things to drive you back in the opposite direction of the one that we're talking about. We want to start going to that. They're going to close the box without any of us getting high ever again. I mean, if your goal is sobriety, that's the goal, right? Never again. If you think, well, my goal is to get sober for about 4 or 5 years so that I can start chipping, instead doing a little bit of dope on the weekends or whatever. The reason they call that chipping is because the only guy that ever pulled it off's name was Chip. Since then, no one else has ever done it successfully. It just doesn't work. So the idea is you're moving forward or you're moving in the opposite direction. This is a loving community for sure. Thank you, Scooby, the budding queen. And I like to believe it really is. And one of the things that makes it so unique is that YouTube channels in general, to get any kind of continuity and any kind of situation where everybody cares for one another and everybody is tolerant of other people's religions and other people's preferences and other people's whatever, right? That's an amazing thing if you're not all recovering addicts. If you're all recovering addicts, it is a miracle, right? Truly, it is a miracle. So when that train gets off the tracks a little bit, it's not really a shocker, right? It really isn't. So this is the reason that drama, hey, Tommy Bird, good to see you. Just wanted to pop in for a couple of minutes and say hello. Have to catch the whole show on replay. Taking the kids to Christmas light show. Wow, how cool is that? Made it a bedtime exception. I'm glad that you said that, Tommy. I really am, because today I had a flashback in my front yard today, and I probably would not have brought it up if you hadn't said that. But enjoy yourself, man. Have a good time. That's awesome. Not the kind of behavior not the kind of thing somebody does while they're wasted, right? We don't. We really don't. He's creating new memories and he's creating good ones. Good for you, Tommy Bird. I love it. Right? I love it. I love it. Damn straight. Damn straight. I mean, Mark's right. In fact, he couldn't be more right. Just keep, that's the kind of thing. It is the antidote, right, for drama. Spend a little time with your family doing something like that. Trust me, it is the antidote for all of the things that can drive you insane. I'll ask you a question, and you can think of it logically. Do you think maybe that's moving him closer to that goal, or do you think it's heading him in the other direction? Because it ought to be real obvious, right?
My mic was off. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, my mic was off. I'm sorry.
I should beat my partner within an inch of his life. He just said what might have been it was, oh, people, you just missed. Do you think you could remember that?
I think I can say it again if you want me to. I will. I'll say
like
it. Okay. Yeah, just take all the memories, all those good memories that you have that you're doing now. It's gonna dogpile on top of the bad ones. And what happens is it just, the bad ones are going to sneak through once in a while, but you got those there to kind of snuff it out and just keep moving forward. And instead of looking, like, remember the stuff you used to do, like sneaking off to the bathroom during Christmas dinner just to go get your fix or whatever. Now you don't have to do that. Just look around at your family and drink that in. And I promise you, it will be awesome.
And I love the concept of dogpiling, because that's really what you're doing. It's like, it's like honestly dogpiling on top of negative emotions, or think about it any other way, illustration you want. But that is exactly what's going on. Two scales, right? Balancing one another. The more you put on that other side of that scale, the better off you're going to be in terms of really building a very, very solid way to go. My goal every day is talking to no one. I leave the house, my head down. I miss that. And clock in at work and go home. You know what? I remember that in the beginning.
Me too.
I really do. I remember a time in the beginning where I thought, I'm just going to be a lot safer if I don't talk to anybody, if I don't hang out with anybody. And in the beginning, I think that that's really safe. It's probably not an awful idea. As you get rolling and you get a little bit more sobriety under your belt and a little bit more time, you start to realize that if the connections are healthy, right? If you're talking to somebody and you're building any kind of connections, and they don't have to be sober people, they don't have to be people in the life or whatever, but the more connection that you have to humans, usually the better off you're doing. But in the beginning, especially if the holiday seasons are driving you nuts, it's not such a bad idea, man. Get there, get it done, and go home. But don't bottle up the feelings during the day. If that's how you're going about your day, when you come home, make sure you have an info dump of some kind, right? Where you just go, boy, let me tell you about the day I had. Because if you don't, you're going to end up, heading in the opposite direction of the one that's probably where you want to go. But yeah, I love that, Mark. I love the idea of outweighing the bad with the good. And I remember, Mark's talked about it multiple times on the boat. Things like sneaking off to go get high, or creating a reason you got to go to, Home Depot or wherever on Christmas Eve so that you can go meet a dope man, or just any of the stupidest things that you can possibly
having a lie just ready. Just in your back pocket when somebody says something, you can just whip it out like it was just the most natural thing anybody ever said.
Absolutely.
And we get really good at that. But what's nice about what we're talking about now, we don't have to do that no more. It's eating up our brain. It really truly is. We got to defrag, get it out of there. And, that's just what happens. Move those files around a little bit. We can't I guess we can't get rid of these, right? So we got to do something to kind of mask over top of it and just make it to where when we want to look at it, we can. Because there is some benefit to looking at what we used to do. A lot of benefit, actually, if you look at it in the right perspective. Because that is probably what's going to keep you from going back to doing what you used to do. Because did
you read Barella's comment?
Right here is my end of the day vent hour.
Yeah, this is I said you got to have a dump where you can come and just dump everything out, right? Like an info dump.
Yeah.
This is that info dump.
That's awesome.
And you know what? While we're talking, I know that I beat the journaling thing to death, and I promise you I'm going to stop doing that in the next year. I'm not going to stop.
No, you're not.
Probably not. So, but I'll tell you something. You sort of have to ease people into the whole concept because they fight it. They don't like it. And the truth of the matter is, if you're doing it right, you're not just journaling at night, right? When you get up in the morning, info dump everything you got in the on the hard drive. Like Mark said, you're defragging. When you get up in the morning, just info dump everything you got in your brain, because during the night, you were dreaming, and the purpose of the dreaming, right, was to cope with things that you couldn't cope with during the day. That's what dreams do. And I'm going to get somebody in the comment section in the next 30 seconds that's going to say, I never dreamed. I got news for you. You dream constantly. There's nobody that doesn't dream. If you don't dream, you're babbling to yourself in the corner, right? We've talked about this on the lifeboat before. I actually was paid to do a dream study when I was in college. And if you don't dream, you'll hallucinate. You'll begin to dream with your eyes open because your body needs, your brain goes, I'm working through this, bro. Whether you're sleeping or not, I need to work through this. And you will hallucinate. You'll see things that aren't there. I mean, heavy hallucinations, because that's really there's a reason sleep deprivation is one of the most difficult things that anybody can endure, because you have to, so you dream during the night, you may not remember any of them. That's legit. If you say, I never dream, no, you do. You may not remember them. But if you start doing info dumps in the morning, you get up and you write Mambo, dog face, banana patch, right? Like the stuff that you write may not make any sense, but get to the end of it, put it away, and then read it before you go to bed at night. And you'll go, oh man, I had a dream about that last night. Because it's just getting rid of all that stuff you work through in the evening.
And Scooby makes a good point too here. I put it says, dreams can be important sometimes too. Most of the time,
no question,
very important.
No question.
Like Tommy just said, that's your brain working through a problem while you're sleeping, and it's dealing with itself, really.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it because during the day when you're up moving around, it's got so much information coming in all at once from everywhere, from all your senses and everything. It doesn't have time to rest, and that's exactly what it's doing. So what you'll have at somebody.
If you don't,
God, I see it. Yeah,
making it a bus stop, reading scriptures to people. Yeah, I mean that is really not far off there. So, truth be told, anything that you can do to sort of get that stuff out of the head is a pretty good idea, right? Truthfully, it pays off. And what is it? It's really just a way of dealing through the drama that you encounter during the day, right? That's what everything that we do, people. Everything we do is processing drama. What's the key to staying sober? Not letting drama drive you back to using. Well, no, it's that I feel this way. What do you think caused that feeling that way? Honestly, it's drama in our lives. It's the things that we don't cope with well becomes drama. And make no mistake, if you take the time, right? If you take the time to talk about something that's bothering you, and I don't mean telling 6 people that so-and-so's a jerk because they said this thing, but getting with somebody on that list of 5 people that you talk to when something's bothering you and just saying, listen, not trying to create drama. There's no desire to create drama out of this. But this is really bothering me. Somebody said something, you don't want it to be drama. Don't tell them who said it.
Right.
Okay? Don't make that the issue. Somebody said something to me that really, really hurt. It rubbed me the wrong way. Really, what did the person say? You know what? Not that important in this story. Or maybe it is. Go ahead and tell them. But you understand that you can talk to somebody about what's bothering you without turning it into drama. There are 2 very, very different models. The first model is, guy's a jackass, and I called 4 people, and you know what? They said he was a jackass too. Yeah, that's probably drama. Did that this week. Sabotaged my health. Ate too much hot peppers on Tuesday. So it would be too sick. I missed the end of that, but
yeah.
Eating hot peppers.
Yeah.
And Johnny Scoville pops in and says, "What do you mean you ate too many hot peppers? How is that possible?"
He said he feels somewhat responsible.
Somehow I feel responsible for that.
Yeah. We're sure you are, man.
Well might be.
I bet you are. You had a hand in it. Had a hand in it anyway.
People. Yeah. So drama comes in a lot of forms, right? Drama comes in a lot of forms. The first one that jumps off of the page is drama with a significant other. Speak of the devil. Who can push the like button first? Come on, hit it. Thank you, Lady Fiona Crispin. Drama with your significant other, right? Fighting is not drama with your significant other. It isn't. Arguments happen. That's a normal part of everybody's relationship. When you don't deal with it, right? If you're unhappy with your significant other and you go, I'm just not even going to talk about it. I just won't talk to her for 3 days. I'll show her what's up, right? That's drama. If you sit down and say, this is what you did. This is why I'm upset. Let's talk about how this won't happen again. That will kill drama. I promise you. And if you're smart, you start with I love you. That's got nothing to do with any of this. I love you. But this really hurt me. This is what the way I felt when you did this. You understand? And I know we've talked about this 100 times on the boat. But what you don't do when drama rears its head is you don't go, you know what, Mark, you're a jerk. And you always do. If you give any of those terms, right, like always, nobody always does anything, right? Nobody always does anything. But when you use a word like that, it's the end. There's nothing productive. You've just created drama. Hey, Mark, it bums me out when you do this, right? And I don't want it to become something that happens all the time. So I thought I'd bring it to your attention. That communication becomes an absolute skill for those of us trying to get to the pine box without getting high again. An absolute skill. And when you start giving any of those blanketed statements, you're creating drama. You always do this. You never do this, right? Those things that basically blow something up into something that it isn't. She gave me crap about coming home late. Well, you always do that. So every single time you've walked through the door, a minute late, the entire time you two have been married, she said something? Of course not. Right? She can yell at you every single time for anything. But we tend to do that, and we tend to get outside of the productive zone. And when you leave the productive zone, you land square into the drama zone. So with your significant other, think about it, people. This is the person that you said, I love this person more than anything. I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. Or I'm dating this person because I love this person. And if you're creating drama with them, you got to ask yourself why. Is the drama real? Right? Sit down, write down what the person did to make you angry. Read it a few times. And then write down what your reaction to it was. And tell me, are they logical? And then bust out with the perspective meter. Okay, so number one is the guy online at the grocery store had 11 things in his cart and it said 10 items or less. And he went in front of me. Okay, that's a 1. Somebody in your family just passed away, that's a 10. Where did the thing, your significant other, fall in between there? And if it's below a 5, is it worth creating drama over? I'll be honest, if it's below a 9, is it worth creating drama over?
Right.
Drama is going to drive you back. Okay, so that's the first form of drama. The second form is going to very often is family members, right? We have our immediate family, we have our extended family. The immediate family, if you take the demographic of people on the lifeboat, you're probably talking more about your kids than you are about the people that you grew up with. Most of them are out on their own or whatever. That's, it almost becomes the extended family at that point. But when the holidays roll around, what happens? So your brother shows up with his 3 kids, your sister shows up with her 5, and then next thing you know, you got 30 people in a house, right? With every personality in the world, and your nephew, right, who is climbing the Christmas tree, but your sister's doing nothing. She's not disciplining him. She's not going, hey, what are you doing climbing the Christmas tree with a cat in one hand, right? And so all of a sudden you got drama. Now, you could go over to your sister and say, man, if you don't discipline that kid, or you could worse, go over to a family member and go, can you believe she's letting her kid act like this? And then spread that drama out as far as you could. Or you can bust out the perspective meter and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, honestly, where does that fall? Is it annoying? You betcha. Should your sister be disciplining that kid? Yeah, probably with a belt. But it's not your kid, right? It's not your kid. So all of these different personalities come together. And sadly, what you get all of the time is, you know what? This reminds me of the thing that she did that pissed me off 4 Christmases ago, right? Because we don't ever work through anything. Very often when we all come back together as family, you're bringing hurt from 15 years ago, right? Or hurt from four Christmases ago or whatever. This really is a holiday season that causes so many people to stumble and relapse. And there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Right. I honestly, this year we're not doing much for Christmas. I'm not going anywhere. I don't have any family coming in, and that may sound sad to some people, but I am relieved like I cannot explain. Right. I haven't gotten good at this yet. My sister has come to visit me, my older sister, and I'll tell you something. Her kids most of them are young adults now at this point, but they are the best behaved kids I've ever met. I'm not kidding. They really are.
Yeah.
But now when everybody comes here, I run and I hide. I've told this on the boat before.
Yeah.
At all holiday functions and things like that, I used to be the center of attention. I used to be the guy that cracked jokes and made people laugh, and sort of, I worked the room. I went from person to person, and I kind of brought everybody, and and now people walk in the room and they look over to see, all right, do your thing.
Yeah.
Right, let's get some laughs. And I think that I was really comfortable doing that, wasted on heroin.
There's a lot of truth to that, man. It really does. It puts it's like a filter for us, when you were doing things, and what it was doing is it's taking a lot of your inhibitions away, and you don't have that fear of saying something wrong because you don't care. You're just going to say what you want to say, and that's what happens, and that makes you a fun person because people are drawn to those people out there that aren't afraid of doing things. Because why? Because they end up doing stupid things. They want to watch them do something stupid. That's really what it boils down to, and it's when you're in the life, you can't see this end of it. You really can't. You are so fogged over, and you're so oblivious to what's going on, what people are actually seeing, and what Tommy said about people coming over to the house. It's sensory overload for us.
No question.
It really truly is, and it's not a bad sensory. It's just too much, all at once.
Well, and it's a great point, people, because it is sensory overload. Now, does that mean it never happened before? No, it just means we didn't care before because we were drugged.
Yep.
I mean, your threshold for what you will put up with when you're wasted, honestly, I remember times in my life. There's a funny story. I just don't know how I could quite tell it on the boat. I was at a dinner party and somebody was coming by, and the person said, if the person we invited over is a real jerk, we need to have some kind of someone was bringing a significant other, right, or a girlfriend, and this girl was, when they described her, she sounded kind of really out there, like very out there. Anyway, so he said, if the person shows up and they're a jerk, we need a code. And I said, all right, what's the code? He said, I'll ask if you want a drink. We may as well just have a couple because it would be easier to get through this whole thing. And the person showed up at the door wearing a T-shirt with a political slogan on it, and I'll leave that at that. But the political slogan was offensive, to say the least. And this individual opened the door, looked at him, and went, "Make me a drink." Like the person kept 2 feet inside the door and was already calling out for it. I remember actually, I laughed so hard. But we drink to get through situations like that, or we do drugs to get through situations like that. That's why Christmas parties are so hard for people, because you're going to be around people who don't want to be around people either. So everybody's doing the same thing, right? They're drinking or drugging or doing whatever to cope with the drama. My first father-in-law was a raging alcoholic, functional, but the guy would drink about a fifth a day, for real. And managed for years. He went to work every day. He had a good life, but he cannot go without drinking ever. And his wife sort of rides him about it. The older he got, the more she would say, "Don't you think you're having a little too much?" And it was just, so as long as there were people around, that never happened. And I remember the last probably 4 years that I was married, he made sure there was always people around. Like, I didn't ever go over to that house that they didn't have a guest, because when the guest was there, he could serve cocktails and his wife wasn't going to say anything. And I would pull in, and the people, if he didn't like you, the more likely he was to start drinking. He hated me. I'm not kidding you, people. I would pull into the driveway and he would open the door of the car. I'm not being funny. This isn't a punchline, but he would open the door of the car and hand me a beer. I don't care if it was 8 a.m. Like, he would open the door and he would hand me a beer, because now he could go inside and make himself one. And he knew he was going to say to his wife, Tommy's already drinking. So, I'm not kidding you. I used to joke with my wife and I'd say, how long am I going to be there before he tries to get me to drink? I'm not really a drinker,
Right.
But right. It's one of those things that this holiday will kill you. Go ahead, Mark.
No, that's such a cool story, actually. I mean, because there's a lot of stuff in there that could be unpacked. I mean, you really could. Throughout that whole story you just told, there's a lot of stuff in there we could do shows on, probably. But it does. It most certainly, brings into light a lot of what we're talking about here. And the other thing with the drama end of it, we don't want any of that. But what happens when we come here? You don't have that wall we were talking about. And that does add a level when there is nothing stopping you from saying what you want to say. For us, in live terms, like I said earlier, was you in a room drugged up, right? Or on your drug of choice, no wall there. That took your wall down. Now, all you gotta do is type it in the chat box and walk away.
Yeah.
Right? And that's so it's across the board. And thank you, Aaliyah, our newest member. Heck yeah. There you go. She's an insight. She got her life jacket, baby. She got her life jacket. What's Christopher saying there?
Thank you, Aaliyah. Christopher said, "Drama, I'm mad. Tommy made a great channel and now I lost $10. Joking. Just keep up. Just keep the good work, buddy." You know what? I think you may be referencing some of last night's drama. And you know what? Honestly, people, believe it or not, I probably would have called this show drama regardless of that. This is that time of year.
Yeah.
This is the time of year where, and in fact, we did a drama show last year around this time of year. Might have been about a week later, but because you're going to deal with it. Know it's coming. Like everything else that we do as addicts. We talked about this so many times, Christopher, that's funny. But we've talked about this so many times. You sit around and something sets you off, right? And you have zero plan for what you're going to do. So, like I've said, on the boat, we plan for a fishing trip more than we plan on how to remain sober. So I got an idea. If you're heading off, to grandma's house for Christmas, Have a game plan of what's going to happen when your nephew climbs the Christmas tree holding a cat by the tail, right? Have a plan for what you're going to do if your brother makes a reference to something that you did in high school that is still an embarrassment to you. You know that this is going to be a drama-filled season, not just at the house, Christmas parties, right? You know why Christmas parties are so bad? Because all year long you work with people that deep down you might think are jackasses. Only now everybody in the room's had 6 beers and they're likely to tell each other what they think, right? As Mark said, that wall starts to come down and people start to say things that are on their mind. And there have been so many stories throughout the years of people that get fired at Christmas parties for telling their boss exactly what they think, right? Have a plan. Have a plan. You know, it's embarrassing that I have to run from my family and hide in my room. But the other option is I'm going to start freaking out. I'm going to start, you know, if I have to force myself to sit there really uncomfortable, bad things happen. So, and they're not, these kids aren't driving me nuts. Nobody's climbing a Christmas tree. I just feel like every eye in the place is staring at me. You know, I don't, and you're thinking that's what you do every day here. The difference is here I come in with a plan. You know, I'm not trying to entertain you people, believe it or not, and neither is my bobble-headed partner. We're trying to bring up subject matters that are going to make everybody think about sobriety and do it in such a way that's going to benefit all of us, right? That's something that's easier to get behind than, hey, you know what? Everybody's bored. Make us laugh. Yeah. Or nobody seems to be getting along. Why don't you make this right? And you know, for me, I really find myself, and it's sad. It really is. But my plan has been and will remain. If I start feeling that way, I'm leaving. If I got to go upstairs and play with a squirrel for an hour, or if I got to go for a really long walk, I'm not going to put myself into a situation that makes me feel like, boy, I wish I were high right now. I'm not putting myself into that situation. Right? Have a plan. Know who the 5 people you're going to call are. Like, have them on speed dial. If you really need to talk to somebody and say, boy, you know what, this party's driving me nuts, because you won't believe what'll happen, just having somebody there, Empath Ninja. Well, there's a great, a great name. A cool name.
I want to read Andrew's comment here. It says, keeping a solid routine is so important, especially when traveling.
I'm going to get a dog.
That's
sorry.
That's the point people really need to take home here. Really, seriously. Keeping a solid routine is so important, especially when traveling. So, you know, we oftentimes just like to throw out our routines completely when we go on vacation and stuff like that. And that's okay to defrag and do what you need to do. But you still have to have that basic, like I bet you when Tommy goes on vacation, he still gets up and makes his bed.
Yes.
So that's my point. You don't have to do everything you do in your routine at home. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But you incorporate those base parts that keeps you solid every day. And, you know, just figure a way to do it while you're not at home. I mean, and there will be. Maybe you got to substitute it for something else. Just in your mind, tell yourself, this is a substitute for that. And it'll work. I promise. I've done it. And believe me, guys, I didn't do this until Tommy started talking about that when me and him first met. I did something similar, but I didn't really hold that much, you know, focus onto that. And when he started talking about what it did for him, it does. It'll help you get through the winter and everything. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no question. It's where it slapped me in the face was prison, you know, because when I was in prison, they call it programming in prison. Like a guy will say, you know, if you meet somebody and they just got to the unit, they'll say, what kind of program are you on? Right? Like, how are you doing your time? What kind of program are you on? And they'll say, I work out 2 hours a day. You know, I read 3 hours a day. I usually write in a journal. And because we're trying to kill time. We're trying to get through, you know, 12 to 36 months or, you know, 6 to 10 years or whatever the case may be. And the more you structure that, the better a chance you've got of not going insane. And it's a great point. It really is. It's a great comment because the more that you structure your life, it gets back down to this is the same in every single thing that we talk about. It really is. Have a damn plan.
Yeah.
Have a plan for how you do your days. Have a plan for how you do your vacations. Have a plan for how you do your work. Have a plan for what you're going to do when the ship hits the sand, right? When things aren't going well. We don't need to. As crazy as it sounds, if you're an air quotes normal person, you don't need a plan for everything. You don't need a plan for when things go bad. But if you're one of us, you need a plan for what you're going to do when things go good.
Yeah.
You have to have in your head, this is what I'm going to do when I start feeling uncomfortable. Because if things are perfect, man, I just got a promotion at work. I went and looked at a car and I thought, what the hell? I'll let him run my credit. I know it's not going to. The guy comes back and goes, I can have you in that car in 15 minutes, man. $300 down. You can drive that home today. This is what your payment's going to be. And you're going, good Lord, do you believe this? I've arrived. And then you drive home in your new car to go show people. And on the way home, you feel like the world's about to end. It doesn't make any sense in the world. You're in your dream car. You just got a promotion and you hate it.
Yep.
Have a plan. Call somebody. Because when you call someone and they say to you, well, of course you feel that way. You've never, ever been successful before. You don't know how to cope with this. The good news is, once you understand that, just articulating it and saying it, hey, I feel bad. People, it won't last you 2 years. Your brain will go, What happens is the emotional part of the brain that's making you feel like this sucks. I don't know what's going on, right? You talk to somebody and it pushes it to the frontal lobe, a part of your brain that does all the thinking. And that part goes, damn. So all this is going on because, yeah, you're right. I've never been successful before. Screw that part of my brain. I dig this. The car's awesome. I'm doing well. I got nothing to be upset about. And the next thing you know, you're not.
Yeah.
Well, if it's that simple, Tommy, nobody does it, right? People get sober and they go, I'm going to do this on my own. I don't want anybody to know I'm fighting to be sober. So I'm going to do this on my own. And I don't know why I feel weird right now, but God, I feel weird right now. And the good news is I got a raise and I got a car, right? So I'm making good money. Screw it. I know where I can go make this getaway, right? Exactly. I'll just get in that brand car. I'll just take some of that money and I'll just go drive to the bar, or I'll go drive to your first thought has got to be, if I'm uncomfortable, who are my 5? Right? Who are the 5 people I'm going to call? I promise you, people. And look, hey, Lord Kissfree, good to see you. I talk about my 5. I got 30 I can call, but I got a top 5. Right? I have a top 5, and I promise you, I'm on. I don't know how many people's top 5. Right? There's a lot of people that reach out to me, and I get as much, if not more, from that interaction than I do from anything else in life. Yep. Right? It's the reason that my bobbleheaded partner and I come here every day and do what we do.
We're
going to buy a vacation home with all of this membershiping. What's that?
You being on the top 5 of everybody else's is helping you not call your top 5.
That's a great way to put it.
I mean, it just sounds kind of whopper jawed there, but it really is. And another,
it actually is logical as hell.
And something you said a minute ago, I think really needs to emphasize is the fact that a normal, quote unquote, normal person would do in situations like this is, not just prepare for the good and the bad. They always just prepare for the bad, right?
Right.
We have to do something different. We have to prepare for both, because
no question.
we don't know how to handle either one when you're first getting sober. That's just something that happens. And even long-term sobriety, sometimes I struggle with it myself. Something good will happen. The first thing, like Tommy said a minute ago, pops in my mind. Well, what could go wrong now? What could go? I mean, that's my first initial response to everything like that. And it's like, when am I going to quit doing that? And I find myself going longer and longer between times that it happens, right? So, I mean, I think that's how it works for most people. It's not just going to go away with the snap of your finger. So you got to just kind of keep, stay the course and keep moving. And it will eventually, those times where you struggle with that, it'll start spreading out because your brain is fixing itself, but it's fixing itself really, really slow.
Yeah.
You didn't.
No, he's 100% right. These are the things that, again, people, it's just a matter of having a game plan. That's why, honestly, I hate to sound like, boy, if you just pay attention, you're going to be okay. But everything that we talk about kind of dovetails into everything else, right? Because it's all part of that big picture and it's all part of the plan. So when we talk about, living as if, right? Also all part of the plan. So if you're saying, well, I'm going to live as if I'm a sober person, I'm going to live as if I'm a happy sober person, and I'm going to live as if I'm a successful happy sober person, and what am I going to do if that doesn't work? Well, you should have a plan for what you're going to do when that doesn't work. Because the truth of the matter is, and The longer you've been fighting this, hello, Heather. The longer you've been fighting this, the more you will come to realize that if you are feeling uncomfortable in your own skin, or you're feeling like something's just not right that day, or you're feeling like, man, I don't know what it is, but something about the holidays at my sister's is going to drive me nuts. People, you don't need to rewrite all of humanity or history to get better. You need about 6 minutes. Honestly, 6 minutes of talking about this to somebody that doesn't go, what do you mean you don't feel comfortable in your own skin? Right? This is why the year 5 should be addicts. So you say, man, today I'm really uncomfortable. Well, you know what that is, bro. Right? Of course you're uncomfortable. Right now you're at a party and you're not high. So there's a starter. And all of these different people, it's sensory overload. You're not used to this. You've probably never done one of these sober. Of course you're not feeling right, but don't worry about it because you know that it's not real. This is your brain trying to get you to go do dope. And by the time the call's over, you're like, damn, right? This is no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have a plan and we don't do that. By the way, there was a comment earlier and I was going to wait until the bitter end. But if I wait till the bitter end, I'll probably forget. And it was from Kelly Smith, who was wondering whether or not I had written to her son, and I have. So if you're still here, Kelly, and if not, I will reach out to you to let you know. But I did write to your son. I haven't heard back, but I'm not surprised. And I will fire more than one letter because at first, if you're in there, so some sober guy that wants to, I'm probably offensive as hell. The whole concept, he's probably not happy at me or you. However, that doesn't mean we'll stop writing. So, but I have, yes.
Yeah, sorry, her son's in prison, right? Just so everybody.
He is.
Okay.
He is, and if my memory serves me right, he gets out in either June or July. I have it written down in my journal, but it's either June or July. And she was concerned about him coming home, and earlier I read that he's in there making hooch, which is a bad thing. But I'll tell you something, that doesn't always. It just depends on what he's doing with that hooch. This is going to sound really bizarre, but full disclosure and all of those things. After I got sober, right, and was living a sober life and not doing anything, that had anything to do with that in any way. Oh, no problem, Kelly. After I got sober, I was blowing hooch off in there. I wasn't drinking any of it. I was selling it. And is that a good thing? No, it really isn't. But sometimes survival in there will make you do some things that, it's the lesser of a lot of evils. Like I honestly sat and thought about it, and I could have run a poker table, which I used to do. And then I thought to myself, well, that's really, hooking people in and the drama that's associated with that. And then I got to collect money and all of that. So for me, it was just cheaper to make a batch of booze and then sell it off all at once. And that was usually enough money to get me through a month or two. So if he's drinking what he's making, but just because he's blowing off hooch, granted he's breaking rules, which is not a good thing, but people, unless you've tried to survive in there, it's an environment that will force you to do some things that everybody's doing something they shouldn't.
Well, you got to have a gig. You got to have a gig in there.
If you don't, you better have people on the street that are handing you amounts of money that will make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you just can't live on what they feed you. You can't live on what it's just, honestly, it's a bad situation. But
and like you said,
I would be concerned, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, like you said, that you get stuck in a confined area, and then, what do we do at home, guys, when you're stuck? Like, say you have a big snowstorm. What are you doing at home? You're sitting around doing what? Eating? And watch TV, right? Pretty much. Is that what most people do? So yes. What do you think people, just because they're in prison doesn't make them anything different than what we are. So what I'm saying there is the fact that that's probably what they want to do too all the time, because trying to keep your mind busy is a hard thing. And that's correct. That's really detrimental if you can't. And, and for, when Q grabbed up Tommy, I guarantee you that's probably the saving grace, man.
Well, and
it kept your mind busy, for sure.
I should honestly say that I was blowing batches of hooch off when I first met Q, and I remember the conversation where he said to me, I said, you know what, man, I got to have a hustle. Right. I got to feed myself in here. And he said to me, dude, the way you speak, you couldn't go and do a hustle, maybe writing appeals for people or writing requests to judges for people that don't, have a way with words, that you couldn't do that. And honestly, that was the start of something completely different. And I went down to the library and started doing that. And honestly, it was probably some of the first real addiction to helping people, because the first 4 or 5 paid really well. And then I had all these people come up that would say, if you could just give me some advice, because I don't have any money. I remember a guy coming up, people, it was one of the saddest stories ever. A guy came up and the judge had said to this guy, I will cut your probation, right? After prison, you have to go on probation. I will cut it from 10 years, which they had it at, it's the maximum you could do, to 3 years. But I want an apology to the court, because when the kid went in, he had written something really foul on his neck and his forehead with black magic marker, right? So he said, you give me an apology and I will knock this down. And they were talking about this at the lunch table. And one of the guys said, you're just an idiot. I cannot believe you won't apologize to him. And he said, you don't understand. It's the principle of the thing. And one of the guy goes, principle? You're going to do what, 8, 9 more years on probation over the principle of the thing? You're an idiot. And he's like, well, it's me. It's not you. And as everybody else got up, it was just the two of us at the table. And I remember it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I looked at the guy and went, you can't write, can you? Because there's nobody in the world that stands on principle for 9 more years on paper, right? I don't care what your principles are. There's no chance. And he started with the F you, I'm not, don't call me. And I just said, hey, I'm not mad at you, bro. And I'm not telling anybody, but I'll write that for you. If that's the issue, if it's a matter of, and he went, you'll write that for me. and it didn't need to be fancy. The guy just wanted an apology. But here was a guy that was going to do 9 more years because he didn't want to tell the world he couldn't read and write. So I wrote that letter. Right. And that was not a guy that could pay me, but I definitely wrote that letter. And then I ended up writing a lot for other people who were in the same boat, because it is what it is. But yeah, I wouldn't be too stressed out that he's making hooch unless he tells you he's getting drunk on it in there, because now there's a big difference between commerce and because drinking in prison is the most dangerous thing in the world. If you look at all of the really horrendous things that happen in prison, all of them are in one way or another around drinking or drugging.
Something.
Well, I mean, you hate everybody in there, and then you take down the inhibitions, and bad things can happen. But I will continue to write to him, and I hope that he reaches back out. I won't stop writing.
Right.
Exactly. I promise you that.
That's exactly.
And I've done this before with other people, and very often I don't get letters back, but I will keep writing. I promise you that.
Yes.
I promise you.
Yes.
So that does bring us pretty much to the top of the hour. You know how I know that, Mark?
Let me know.
Because I'm wearing a really nice watch.
Okay. Well played.
He's getting drunk, Kelly says. Okay, well then, that's
a whole different.
It's good information. It really does make a difference.
Yep.
Some people come out of prison drunks. Oh yeah, no question. And a lot of people, I think the number of people that come out of prison with an opiate addiction would absolutely blow your mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, it would blow your mind. I watched a guy turn down the halfway house because he knew they were going to test him when he got there. So he voluntarily did 3 more years in prison to continue.
Wow.
Hey, he's got Ripper. Money. He's got money, and he's still doing it. That's all. Yeah, hey, Rip, good to see you. You know what, Kelly? Send me a email with any more details you can get so that I can maybe make the next letter a little better. If you don't mind doing that, I would appreciate it. Same address he sent the info to the last time.
Let's
thank you.
Yeah, for sure. That's an awesome thing that you're doing there, Tommy. It really is. I think.
Oh, it's the boat.
Yeah, I know. I got you. I'm with you there.
Yep, it is the boat.
But I do want to say, we still need some prayers for Rip and his family and everybody else. And well, thank you, Aaliyah, for being here. Thanks. We're getting a lot of thanks
and
tonight.
And for all of the people who bought memberships. I think Aaliyah just did as well.
Yep, Aaliyah bought one, and thanks for pushing it out, guys.
Yes.
Aaliyah does that a lot, and a lot of you guys do it too, and we don't say it enough. We should say thank you for that. That is something that we need to thank you guys for. Way more than we do other things we thank you for. I just simply forget about it because it's one of those things that's not like right in front of you. You know what I mean? It's something that happens at the beginning and usually of a stream, and we're done. But it's very important because me and Tommy definitely see a number drop when, like, if I forget to share it to my Facebook or Tommy forgets to share it out, it really truly does drop our numbers, like,
it does
significantly.
And you know why that's important, people? Here's some behind the scenes kind of thing. So we average a little better than 10% on average, right? 10% of the total number of subscribers we have equals like 10% of that number ends up as the number of views, and that's very good, right? And that's a number that's great. If we can maintain that through our entire career doing this, we'd be happy campers. That's a really good number.
Yep.
That said, there are thresholds where the big red button will push you harder. Like when we hit an average of 300 views a day or 300 a video, they push us farther because they think, oh, well, maybe they're going to stick around, right? Maybe they're not a fly-by-night. But the next one's 500. Yeah. And if we can get to where we're averaging 500 a day, then this boat is going to really take off.
It will.
And the more that we can push this out, right? So if I promise you, if everybody on the boat tomorrow shared this video to Facebook or to everywhere else, if every single person on the boat did it tomorrow, we'd hit 500 views on that video.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Yep.
And it's an easy way to help. It really is.
And let me say one more thing on that, just real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get off here.
You don't even have to be real quick. We're not running too late.
Pushing it out is the biggest thing that we can say. I mean, I don't even know how else to say it. So when other people are pushing us out, like bigger channels, smaller channels, we have to continue to do that. And let's just face it, until you get to that threshold, they're not going to really push you much. It just doesn't happen, because it's like when you're trying to make money off something, that's what YouTube is doing, right? They're trying to make money off of us. So they're going to push the ones that they think have the best chance. And it's all built into an algorithm. So coming back and leaving a comment to the video is so important. Just dropping, hey, good job, guys, or hey, love the stream. And that's all you got to do. Those kinds of numbers actually push it in the algorithm to get out more. And if you were to look at our numbers when we get off, like when we end the stream, you go look at the views that we had during the stream. You can double that and more typically, and it'll be our end view count. So there's more people watching the live replay than watched us live.
Considerably more, on average.
So that's and the reason that happens is because people do what I just said. They share it out, and that's when people come and look and watch. And it's and they can pause, like if they heard Tommy say something and they're like, well, I'll just back that up a little bit and rehear what he had to say. Those kinds of things, and it's very important. And something else, I had this question. It's the only reason why I'm bringing this up. Somebody emailed me this question. Like if you watch us live, if you come back and watch it again, that does not give us another tick. Okay, just so you know, that it knows when you were here. And it knows who was here and for how long. So coming back and giving it, some people say, well, what if you just clicked in and clicked out, That actually will jack you up. It jacks you up.
That will.
Yeah. So just kind of keep that in mind, guys, if you think you're trying to help us, which we appreciate, but, don't do that if you can help it. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, yeah.
All right, Rip. Thank you. And we'll keep it up.
Love you, brother.
Yep, for sure. All righty, people. We're going to be back tomorrow night. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. And thanks to Miss V for that, because I do prefer that to the bats. Thanks, Miss V. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. It's what we do. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass,
Captain Mark Wages.
Cat in a basket. Good night, everybody. We love you. Thanks.